Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have something everyone is always asking for, which is a ranked game. So I'm playing against Choo Choo Chopper, I suppose, and I'm playing of course as Blue Dragons, which is one of my favorite for ranked games. It's probably the coalition that I'm most comfortable with in this entire game. Lots of good, versatile and cheap units, lots of good mechanized, so a little bit slow transports. We're trying to get out into the central town. I also have a helicopter squad of an OH-1 Ninja and an AH-1T moving up into the Delta Alpha Gap. We see a PH-2 Tiger, and two of them actually, which is a little bit scary, so I'm going to be pulling these guys back just a bit as infantry and supporting vehicles are headed up into the woods in Alpha and also trying to secure Delta. I was trying to make better use of the central town than I usually do, although I often play on the other side of the map. And the left is pulling all of my attention right now, so these guys aren't doing much of anything at all. The Ninja and the H1T are withdrawn, but there is something coming down the central bit as well. So Vab's headed into these woods, Puma 330H just headed right over the top, and I'm trying to get things spread out into Foxtrot a little bit, and we're going back in. So AMX-10 RCSB's triple stacked, which I've never really seen that before. There's 120 points worth of tanks there. Pretty good fire support, I gotta say. I mean, that's going to be 3 shots off the AMX-10's gun, which, you know, it won't kill a heavy tank, but it'll kill just about anything else, and really quickly too. And my Hachi-Kyushikis are being spotted and destroyed. Peace Ryan coming out, and I'm not sure what he's going for. Could be the Ninja. Yeah, he's going for the Ninja. And he gets it too, which is a little disappointing, but the Peace Ryan does go down at least, which I think is actually a good trade in my favor. And now we have a Husam Mistral opening up, down goes a Tiger. So that at least is pretty good for me, but I don't really have any ways of dealing with those AMX-10s. So my Mistral is unfortunately shot and killed by the Woodline, and my AH-1T is going to have to deal with those tanks. So Peace Pheasant 2 coming out, but I unfortunately lost vision on the second group of AMX-10s, which is what he was ordered to shoot at, so he's actually going to be going down to a PH-2 Tiger's Stinger missiles, which is a little disappointing. My Husam Mistral had a shot there, but actually ran out of Mistrals, which is the only reason that PH-2 Tiger's still alive, so I really was regretting at this point not bringing a resupply vehicle into this town already. We do now have spread out our Chumats, our recon infantry and things like that, but AMX-10s are demolishing my K200s as I'm trying to get myself spread out in these woods. So my Yebagun, just standard militia, are going to be moving back. Well, no, actually, they get caught by Vabs. Oof. Yeah, not exactly my best play here. And the French are in the woods and doing very well, as Kyotoku WAPCs are not going to be able to fight against the Vabs. They're supposed to be supporting Yebagun against infantry that the Yebagun would otherwise fail at killing. So I've unfortunately been a little bit blown through there on the western side, but we do at least have good central control of the map and good control of Foxtrot as well. And I was thinking to myself, you know, that's a lot of points over there. So maybe I can be a little bit assertive here over in Foxtrot, sort of like we saw the other day, where the Foxtrot Charlie gap was something I definitely took advantage of. AH-1T's shooting still, and we have now a KM-900 that's challenging the Tiger's ATGMs. We'll have to see what he can do. Bomber coming in, and let's see, I think he's going for the Chumats. No, he was going for my helicopter. Huh. He was going for my helicopter, which is hilarious, but AH-1T is able to move to avoid that, and I think we get the kill just barely with the KF-16C, so air superiority fighter proving relatively invaluable, as that will start to build up points advantage on my opponent here. So I think he's playing, yes, this would have to be Eurocorps, right? Because the German Tiger and the French AMXs. So, I mean, hey, one of the best coalitions in the entire game, and that's for a reason. JSDF Rangers unfortunately dying to Vabs, and all I have left is a single unit of recon infantry. So the AH-1T going to be using the sackless missiles again. I'm trying to bait the Tiger in a little bit, just to make him overextend, as I do bring up a Tansam short arrow that's going to be positioning on this ridgeline. Now, this guy has excellent range against helicopters, and we are going to be using that 3325, so that was the hope. Pull in the Tiger, hit him with the Tansam, and take that threat down. So Chumon's opening up, as well as OH-60s against the Vabs, but the OH-60 is a little fragile, and I forgot exactly how long range the Vabs could be against helicopters, 1575 meter range. Of course, that is standard for an autocannon like that. It just kind of slipped my mind at the time, so, you know, sometimes that happens. And as it turns out, so I did flip this to neutral, and I could have been pushing through Charlie this entire time. I just didn't really realize it, and I was trying to deal with what I considered a horrible situation here over on the western flank. So one thing I've had happen to me before in ranked games, probably why I'm still a corporal, is I'll defend against a broad front, and then I'll get pushed through on one side of it, and it doesn't really matter if I have a holding force on the other, because, well, they'll go all the way through to my home zone, which kind of sucks. So that's what I'm trying to prevent from happening right now. So I have a K1 that is moving up and sort of a little bit stuck for right now. Pathing this game is a little weird on those buildings, but now he's coming around, and that K1 will be able to challenge these AMX-10s pretty successfully. AH-1T using those Hydra rocket pods against Chasseurs. Here comes a Peace Rhine, another helicopter hunter, but this time the Mistrals have missiles again. The Tansam also shooting at him, and the K1 unfortunately goes down. So does the Peace Rhine to another KF-16C. So my plan for defending here has failed, but I pulled out another ATGM plane and shot it down. So at least my opponent is running out of some tools, and now finally we have a Hachi Nanashiki moving up, trying to exploit the gap. So I am going to go over the far side, which is a little bit of a questionable idea. I might have just been better off going right down the pipe through to Charlie, and that PH-2 Tiger is still alive, which is really pissing me off. On the other hand, my AH-1Ts, now there are two of them, have been just absolutely worth their weight in gold this game. Probably the only thing standing between me and having those AMXs and VABs drive right through to Echo. So a good purchase there, and used defensively, pretty competent. So Hachi Nanashikis are going to be positioning in the woods. I do need to start bringing out more infantry, so we have Hachi Kyu Shikis carrying Sujo Buntai, I believe the better version, so not the cheaper one, and also bringing a couple reinforcements over here to Foxtrot. I don't think there's anything over there right now, but this is the basis of something I can use to get control with infantry farther down, and maybe assault these woods to take that part of the map as well. AH-1T is being repaired and rearmed at the FOB, and it always amazes me exactly how much supply helicopters take. I mean, look at this. This is a significant fraction, and I've only used it to heal up and rearm this AH-1T probably twice. Yeah, we're down 3,000 of our FOBs, 16,000, so that's quite a lot. Tiger Had is here, and actually we had a really unfortunate situation where a reinforcing Gazelle Canon was able to spot for a Tiger Had that otherwise didn't know that my Hachi Nanashiki was there. So if I'd been driving down this side, I might have been able to kill the Tiger Had with the Hachi Nanashiki's autocannon if he wasn't spotted in time, but it still would have been risky, and it would have relied on stunning the helicopter before he was able to be effective. So things are slowing down a little bit as we get into the mid-game, so we'll speed up here a little bit. More Hachi Nanashikis and Hachi Kyushikis moving up into Foxtrot, and eyes on the VLRA Mistral. So Chumats, they are extraordinarily capable, so 60% accuracy, 21 AP, but 2450 meter range is a little bit short. You're really looking for that 2600, well, 2650 I believe it is, for most ATGMs, so I didn't really have a chance of using ATGMs against this reinforcing line, which, I mean, hey, that has its cost, right? That would have been a really nice thing for me to be able to do, and I wasn't able to. Charlie now has been secured, which means that my opponent will get the +1 ticking for the first time in the entire game, so neither one of us had done anything there, and I have called out a Jiwi Cha to cap Foxtrot, so at least we'll be answering in kind here in a little bit. So let's go back up to 2. AH-1Ts just sort of showing that they're here, but hopefully being too far back for anything short of my enemy bringing in another dive-bombing aircraft, which, I mean, if he does that, I'll probably lose the aircraft, and that works for me as well. Tiger Had now moving up a little bit, just out of range of this Husam Mistral, and more AA going into the woods in Alpha. So I kind of got the sense that Alpha is being built up as, well, a bit of a fortress, and I am trying to defend now. So Hachikyushikis and Shujo Buntai defending against these woods, which I often attack into these on the other side, and I've seen people do that as well, because if you can get infantry, especially recon infantry over here, they can be very effective for spotting, and you can sort of move around the back or pressure into the main blocks of woods as well. So this is sort of a foothold I wanted to deny to the Red 4 player. Jiwi Cha moving up, but so agonizingly slowly. I mean, it is mechanized. It's 70 kilometers per hour off-road, just the best you can expect. At least it's not 55, which is even worse. But I am trying to be a little bit unexpected with positioning here, so we're headed up into these woods. I don't know if it's actually unexpected, but mostly what I've seen is that people will park in here, and so I wanted to avoid doing that. Besides, I have a good defensive concave here, at least in terms of scouting. Hachi Nanashikis, KM900s, took Jean-Soi, there's a lot of capable stuff there. Gazelle 341F Canon headed up, and he will actually win a duel against my OH-6D, who has rocket pods for anti-infantry use, not an autocannon for anti-helicopter or anti-vehicle use. So he is moving back, and the Gazelle is chasing, so we'll have to see what comes of that, as my Hachikyushikis and Shujo Buntai are moving up through the woods. So Hachikyushikis, of course, have excellent guns. Those KDE 35s are pretty amazing. And if given time, they might be able to do some good work. Single shot, single hits, but not quite enough damage, and I'm unloading the Tuxjon Swa so that they can take out that Gazelle Canon. Unfortunately, the element of surprise has now been lost, and my enemy should be aware that I have reinforcements headed up through these woods, so he may well respond in kind. Tensem Short Arrow moving up, just trying to increase the helicopter denial zone, and I have snuck Chumats over to finally start shooting at that reinforcing lane, but it's only a single unit of Chumat, so not terribly effective there, and, well, relatively vulnerable to counterfire should my opponent get artillery in place. Alpha has been capped, and so I am suffering a +1 again, as my opponent is moving past 33 points to my 0. So this needs to be, it's a problem that needs to be stemmed quickly, because I very much won too late before, and that's a horrible, horrible feeling. The Gazelle Canon's just out of range of my Mistralis here, probably a couple hundred meters, if anything, and ooh, that's a nice little shot there. Have fun lifting off, little buddy. And he is retreating back a little bit, and we have our first engagement. So Shujo Buntai fighting against Chasseurs, and this was a surprising engagement for me. So they're both 15-point regular infantry. The FAMAS is a wonderful rifle, but my Shujo Buntai are already panicking one of the units of Chasseurs, and it seems like we're getting a weirdly favorable engagement. So Mistral is going to be denying my OH-6D, and probably, getting the kill there, so the Hachi Nanashiki is moving up, trying to answer if I can get within range of that primary gun, but my Shujo Buntai still have not taken a single loss, which is just terrifying. I think what happened was we were engaging with only one of the three squads that was a little bit farther forward than the other two, and we had a symmetrical engagement instead of that. So now we have another asymmetrical engagement where there's one of the three units of Chasseurs fighting against both of my Shujo Buntai. Woods fighting is weird. Chuma able to take down a couple of Vabs, and let's see if this one hits as well. No, so swing and a miss. If this was a double squad, it probably would have been able to get a lot better work done, but such is life. Then we have Tuxjon Swa headed up and around, as well as Hachikyushikis. My plan is to move around this side and over, so moving into the back part of Alpha without going through the center, which I fully well expected to be pretty competently guarded. Now, these Chasseurs should have just been attack move forward. That would have engaged all three, and they would have killed the Shujo Buntai, but as it is, this relatively long engagement has definitely been in the Blue Dragon's favor. I do now finally have a mortar out, and yes, I should have had that out before, but we are going to be smoking up the town, I believe. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yep, smoking up the town, trying to prevent those ATGMs that were there earlier from coming out again and being a bit of a nuisance. And my Shujo Buntai, there is finally one group that's panicking, but the other one should be enough to have us win that fight. Special Forces coming out in KV-107s, and they are going to just deposit back here, and then try to move up as well. And I could have been more aggressive on this side, but I figured maybe not worth it. And we do get a kill, finally, on that Gazelle Canon, so I have moved up a Mistral just a little bit further. The Chumats moving over a little bit as well. KM900 trying to sneak up there, see what all is in these woods, if there's anything that can defend reasonably against it, as my opponent's moving up to 75 points to my 0, so very much not a good situation. Tuxjon Swa ambushed by Chasseurs and Vabs, and I think my opponent's trying to push back a little bit and guard against the Shujo Buntai relatively actively. So now we have something a little bit questionable. I have Yebagam K200s, a single unit of Shujo Buntai, and Hachikyushiki trying to move up and take that central town. So it's a significant points investment, but it's not crazy, I'd say. I mean, the Shujo Buntai are 15 apiece. The most expensive bit are the Hachikyushikis, but if they're somewhat conservative with their range, the K200 should take those shots before they do, and we have excellent fire support now going into concave on the Chasseurs. But AMX-10 RC is a nice answer, and my Hachikyushikis will struggle against that, as, yep, one of them goes down. I mean, we got a pretty reasonable kill there as well, so that's not nothing. And we are pressuring in from multiple sides, drawing out those AMX-10s. The Jumat from the Hachikyushiki goes swing and a miss against the AMX-10 RC. Let's see what the second shot can do. And another swing and a miss. If one of those had landed, that would have potentially panicked the AMX-10 enough to have this sort of work. But as it is, K1 supporting, Yebagun supporting, but Chasseurs holding strong as my Sujabuntai get torn through. I lose the other Hachikyu Shiki, unfortunately. Bombing run coming in to kill those Chasseurs that were moving up, and a KF-16C just sort of providing ASF support. So now the Chumat back here are in range as Vabs push forwards, trying to get kills on Yebagun, and I really should have just moved up the Yebagun to begin with, because that wasn't really a worthwhile thing. And ATGM's headed in against my Hachi Nanoshiki. Let's see how many he can take. That's 1, 2, I think there was an earlier volley as well. 3 from the Tiger had, and he's still alive. 4 from something else, and that finally does get him, so I do lose the Hachi Nanoshiki again. Mistral just out of range of this Gazelle Canon, and I didn't really want to push up quite yet with infantry. Tiger had moving up as well, and I'm still not able to kill him, but the Tukshan Swa finally hitting that Puma 330H. Probably a bit of a tripwire unit for my opponent, but, you know, such is life. And I'm going to be trying to do the same thing I did the other day, moving a KM 900 up and through the back end of these woods. But the difference is, this guy has really bad autonomy, whereas the tool I used earlier did not. So I'm not going to be able to attack into Bravo the same way, as this guy's almost out of fuel. We're going to have to go into Charlie instead. So the limited autonomy of Blue Dragon's units definitely being a little bit of a pain there. Hachikyu Shikis took down a helicopter. They're also almost out of fuel, but the Tiger Hat's not able to get maintained vision on them, so that's at least something worthwhile. Yebagun and K200s chewing through the last units of Chasseurs, but just not able to make it there, as ATGMs do come back online, and they will get those kills on the K200s. Hachikyu Shikis moving up again, and able to kill a Crotal. Very nice shot there. Saving my AH-1T, by the way, because if that Crotal was still alive, that missile that he fired may well have killed the AH-1T. Well, at least I think they're guided. I'm not entirely sure. I really don't play France very often, and I'm still learning a lot of things about this game. Now the Husem Mistrals are moving up, trying to get that Gazelle Canon, and I mean, we're at 125-point deficit here with half of the match gone almost, so something needs to happen, and something needs to happen quickly. Hachikyu Shiki's forming a bit of a defensive line here, but they are taking mortar fire, which is not exactly ideal, and we spot something. This is the Tiger Had that had been making my life a little bit difficult moving into Alpha. So he's spotted by the Tukjun Swa, and let's see, here it is, an F4 EJ Kai with those 8 relatively small but high explosive bombs moving forward, and I didn't think there was going to be much AA left, having just killed the Crotal. So we're going to try to go in and see what we can do. Bombs are dropped, and can we get him? I think he is probably lifting off. Yep, he's lifting off, but the HE bombs are enough to do it, and that 100-point helicopter goes down, as the Tukjun Swa also find command infantry. So really good elite training scout infantry, able to find and kill the command infantry there, does neutralize Alpha, neutralize my opponent's +1 ticking, and the KM900 has found a Fuchs Fufu of all things, which annoyingly the 1 armor there is keeping him alive pretty long, and I'm nearly out of fuel, but we're trying to get a bit of a kill there, and the Fuchs Fufu was stunned, which means even if my opponent knew that this was happening, which he should have, he might not have been able to do anything about it, because as long as he was stunned and as long as that track transaxial is hit, this thing can't move. So he has to just sit there and watch his CV get shot, which has to be one of those feels bad moments type things. PH2 Tiger moving up, but moving back as the Tukjun Swa. We're almost about to open fire, and that's a very expensive piece to get shot down by infantry. Gazelle Canon coming up, and the Fuchs Fufu is half dead, still tracks hit, so he still can't run away. Commando Marines do come up and are fighting my Tukjun Swa, and this is actually not the worst fight ever for the Tukjun Swa. So Commando Marines are stunned, being worked through by the Tukjun Swa. It started off, 8 to 15, now it's 5 to 6, and even if we don't win that, I mean, hey, that's they were trying, right? And so both of them are now panicked. Now the Tukjun Swa are stunned, and that is going to be a loss there. But if it was double squad, it might have been a little bit different. And the Fuchs Fufu is just sort of giving up. I don't quite understand this. Should have been a couple of move orders given, but is taken down finally by the KM900, which means that we're actually ticking at a +2 as I cap Delta with a Jiwi Chop. Should be a little bit more resilient to counterfire than the first. Well, that was the other game. Yeah, oops. First time capping Delta today, and there's now a triple stack of AMX-10s moving forward. I'm going to have to engage them with the K1 as my Chumat is out of missiles, and the other one isn't in range, which is really annoying. It was maybe 100 meters too far. AH-1T is moving over, but the K1 is going to have to bear the brunt of that fire for a little bit. One shot goes in, and looking pretty nice, but we have ATGMs coming over from the from some sort of helicopter over there, probably a Tiger Had, as H1T is able to fend off this guy, but ATGM's coming in, and yep, PDH2 Tiger is able to seal the deal and kill my K1. Very nice use of supporting helicopters there, but we are able to flatten those AMXs eventually ourselves. Nanayon Shiki does get taken out by the PH2 Tiger, which was really annoying. 60-point tank that I was hoping to make good use of, and down goes my Jiwi Cha. So I'd hoped for some better work there than I eventually got, and the PH2 Tiger showing why he's such a powerful unit. My Tansem short arrow also did miss, and I'm just sitting there going, no, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. But he's a little too far away now, so we are only able to get that single shot. This does bring us from a +2 down to a +1, but even that little moment of ticking at +2 was really impactful. 50 points now to 138 is much better than 0 to 138, and my KM900 is in the back lines, 15 pips of fuel left, and my M2 Browning is off, just trying to get vision on that side of Bravo. In the meantime, Sujo Buntai, supported by KV-107s, have been chewing through the remaining infantry in Alpha, and we've turned the situation around pretty decently. KF-16C is evac ordered before it can kill a tornado, which kind of is unfortunate there, but I'm bringing in more Kutai 90, and I was trying to bring in command infantry that I'm now really panicking about, as that tornado is in the AO, to be able to see him and potentially gun run him or use those AIM 9Ls. But here comes a bombing run. Let's see what he's going for, and I think it's the Sujo Buntai. Let's take a look, and yes, so the Sujo Buntai go down, eventual good bombing run there, and annoyingly he actually got out instead of my KF-16C, purchased at the last minute with the remainder of my points being able to kill him. So really unfortunate happenstance there. The PH2 Tiger just asserting his dominance, but this is dangerous being in one place for so long, especially on that low hover. So hopefully we'll be able to do something about that soon. KV-107s, I mean, hey, double minigun will get some good work done. Not enough, as a Crotal, I believe, is opening up there, but, I mean, we cleared out some infantry, we're clearing out vehicles. I have Kutai 90 now moving up through and back toward Charlie, and finally Bonbu Command Infantry moving up to Cap Alpha. They will be protected by Kutai 90, which is pretty good for, I mean, hell, they'll handle most anything. They'll handle infantry, they'll handle IFVs, they might even be able to handle short-range helicopters. Hachi Nanoshiki moving up and spotting and killing something in these woods, not exactly sure what it was. Let's see if we can take a look. I really don't know. It might have been a VBL Mistral. It looked like a vehicle, not any sort of tank. And we do now have Recon Infantry BGS being moved up from my opponent, as well as more mortar fire coming in, trying to shoot at, well, I don't really know what. I think he'd gotten tired of me having weapons teams in these woods. And my Chuma are moving back, one of them out of ammunition, the other one just trying to play a little bit defensively as more AMX-10s move up. Let's see what Hachi Kyushikis can do. Nothing. So AMX-10s, I mean, another triple stack. I think unfortunately these never really got their value back from my opponent, but they were certainly scary and merited a reasonable response. Chuma opening up and swinging a miss, which is the story of my life with these guys. I swear. Whenever I need that first shot to go in, it doesn't, but we do get the second shot, so AMX-10 goes down. 40 points off of a single missile is pretty nice, and the Jumont's unfortunately off the Hachikushiki, not able to maintain line of sight for long enough to have that shot go in. I do lose the last of the KV-107s, but Kutai 90 now moving back into Charlie. We have also a Kai coming up, and this is headed after those mortars. So, able to get in without being shot down. My opponent should have killed that with an ASF or some sort of good air defense, but we were able to, I think, maybe not. I thought I got the mortars there, but it looks like just a lot of dirt and dust. Nope, wait, there they are. So those two mortars finally do go down to a bombing run, which, I mean, felt pretty good for me. Chuma coming in, and the Peace Pheasant, I think, killed one or two more of those AMXs. You can see, yep, they're taken down. So, pretty nice overall work there. I've been a little too zoomed in, my apologies. But things are 0-0, 15 minutes left. 85 points to 138. So my opponent still does hold a slim margin, but that will be going away as Bombu move in and cap Alpha, assuming that there's no counter cap effort there, and assuming that Delta stays sort of contested as it is. So we'll speed things up just a little bit, only about 5 minutes left in this game, so definitely a couple plot twists worth watching at the end. But we do cap Alpha. Now we're ticking at a +1, and I think we've had some pretty good valuable trades here at this point. So I think my opponent may find it quite difficult to muster the forces needed to push me out of this zone, and even if he does, it'll be at such a cost that, well, Of course, as I say that, that one surviving AMX-10 is showing my Sujo Buntai who's boss. But they did surprisingly well, stunning Commando Marine for just a minute. This force will kill them, though not close enough to use those Carl Gustav M2s. Gazelle Cannon moving over as well, probably just trying to get to spot my command vehicle and hit it. Peace Pheasant 2 comes in and does take down the AMX as well as the VAB, narrowly avoiding getting killed by, I think probably Krotel, and the Hanchi Kyushiki prove their worth there, taking down the Gazelle Cannon. We also have another F4 EJ Kai. I was experimenting with these guys. I think I really like them. They're not too bad. They're pretty cheap, and they get the job done, and those Commando Marine are going down. So, Sujo Buntai, I mean, they held as long as they needed to. I lost one of them, sure, but we took out a fair number of my opponent's troops. Also spotting a Fuchs Fufu moving up, and that's probably headed in Cap Delta at this point. I didn't really see much other reason to have that there, and the Kutai are moving up through the woods. So Fuchs Fufu coming in, and I lost sight of him a little bit after this, but I saw that turn to the left there from his position, so to my right, which tells me he's not going to cap in these woods. It's probably either here or here on the far side, and we can see he is coming in to that central woods. So being able to watch that happen was pretty nice. I didn't have good artillery in this deck. I mean, I have, oof, that poor helicopter. I did have good mortars, but not good howitzers, so that is going to be something I have to watch out for. Commando Marines finally do go through my Tokujin Swa, and, I mean, this is looking a little light again. I know I said it would be a little bit hard for my opponent to muster good overwhelming force there, but sometimes surgical strikes work just as well. Kutai 90 unfortunately had their guns on here, so this is going to be a little bit humorous. Puma 330H carrying some sort of infantry, maybe even command infantry, I'm not entirely sure. There's the Kutai 90, and down goes that helicopter. So I think that was, I think it was just paratroopers. I think it was probably more Commando Marine, something like that. Sujo Buntai now sparring with Commando Marine. That's going to be another losing engagement for my infantry, although the Commando Marine are panicked. My Sujo Buntai don't have the training to handle that. OH-60 is moving up, and I'm trying to spot and kill that enemy CV, so also supporting with the Hachi Nanoshiki, a couple Nanosanshikis, just to soak up any ATGMs that might be in these woods. Kutai 90 take but survive a bombing attack, so narrowly surviving that is pretty nice, and a PDH-2 Tiger moving up as well. Now this Hawk Pip 2 was what I was trying to use for my anti-helicopter defense. 33-25 meter range isn't bad, but unfortunately I didn't have a great line of sight here as well. I mean, I was kind of blocked by these trees, believe it or not. So I was sitting there going, no, fire, please fire, ugh. So a little bit annoying there, but K1A1 is anchoring this formation, and I'm calling out more recon reinforcements to that side, as I do need to decap Delta in the next 10 minutes or I lose the game. So we were able to hold off here. The Hachi Kyushiki is opening up again, I think, which is pretty nice, and we spot this Fuchs Fufu with our Kutai 90. Now we're not going to be able to get in there and kill it, at least I don't think so, because there are mortars here, he can move away. I really didn't want that to be how that thing was taken down. PH-2 Tiger, also those rocket pods would immediately eviscerate the Kutai 90, but we have another F4 EJ Kai coming around and trying to use that bombing run again to take down a Fuchs Fufu in the back line. Let's see what we can do. Bombs away, and he is moving it, trying to move away from that, but a pretty nice bombing pattern here, so we get good vertical lines there, and it is enough to catch that Fuchs Fufu and take down Charlie. So another +1 for me as we move into the later stages of this match, and I was beginning to feel a little bit confident here. So I know I'm just fighting against a private, and I haven't exactly been fighting the best either, but well, everyone has to start somewhere, and I think this guy has played a fair number of these games. The OH-60 moving up and spotting the Fuchs Fufu, I was trying to have him continue on with those rocket pods, but I wasn't quite able to do it. I mean, we stunned him, there's a single point left. It's really, really annoying. K1A1 is going to be having to open up here against AMX-10s as well. And my Peace Pheasant 2 finally taken down, or at least engaged, by a Mirage that should have been brought in far earlier, but that Hawk Pip is going to have a field day with that, as well as my KF-16Cs taking him down, and now engaging with the Tornado 1DS as well. Critical Incendiary, and just able to take him down in the closing seconds of this match, as my opponent, seeing this, does surrender here in just a second. So, kills, losses, didn't start off this way. We definitely started off with some bad trades, particularly on the western side, but by the end of it, that was 2970 against 1790, which really did kind of show why we were able to get those grinding advances in the later game and push my opponent out of a couple of zones that he definitely didn't want to be pushed out of. In terms of performance, the Husam Mistrals, these are AA infantry, got a really good number of kills. Actually, some of them took down a Peace Rhine right at the beginning of the game, which was very nice. AH1T getting just, I mean, so many AMX-10 RCSB kills. That was incredible. Each one of those is 40 points, so that's what, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, off of 240 points just off of AMX-10s. So, I mean, hey, that works for me. Also, the Vabs probably carrying Commando's Para, taken down in transport. KF-16C killed 4 planes. Chumot doing pretty well. I should have double squatted these guys because they would have gotten even more kills. Another AH-1T doing pretty well. This guy gets shot down, unfortunately, but I mean, hey, it's a lot of Vabs, it's a lot of infantry denied to my opponents before he does so. These are the Tukjun Swa that killed the command infantry in Anna, and generally, I mean, this is what a good game looks like when everything has a couple kills to his name. So we did pretty alright, and actually that game moved us up, I believe, from Corporal to Sergeant. So it might come out, this might come out after, or, well, before or after a couple other matches where I was still a Corporal, but, well, we've scrabbled up a single rating in Ranked. Well, better beats nothing. That's all we've got for today. Thank you all for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.